Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I just want to take the member for Higgins up on a couple of issues. And I have the utmost respect for the member for Higgins. I want to put that out there. She was a clinician scientist before coming to this place, an expert in infectious diseases as a physician, and an award-winning doctor as well. And I do want to commend her, and I do want to thank her on behalf of the nation for the work that she has done in the medical field. But to say, and I say hear from the member for Sydney, and I do acknowledge it, and I'm being genuine, but to say that the Liberal and National, by the way, we were in a coalition government, did nothing in 10 years is to completely erase what happened during COVID. And those COVID years, and as I look around, there was not a member in this chamber at the moment who was in those meetings, who was in that particular meeting when we were told by the Chief Medical Officer that 40,000 Australians would die unless we acted. And we acted, and we saved many, many lives, thousands of lives. And it irritates me, and I am slow to anger, but it irritates me a lot when the Treasurer today in question time and the previous Speaker go and say that we've nothing to show for what we did as a government. Well, we have something to show, and it's tens of thousands of people's lives. That's right. And as a doctor, I think you too, if you were being fair, would also acknowledge that.
Just reading the talking points.
And indeed, that is important. And this matter of public importance is about the economy. It's about the nation. It is important. And when you think that a recession of sorts, the way it's been described in this matter of public importance, it goes to the core of what people are able to take home now. And people are taking home less. Real wages are falling. But don't take my word for it. I'm not reading off talking points. I'm talking about the anecdotal evidence that you hear from everybody when you go to meetings, when you go to sporting events, when you go in your electorates, and no doubt you're hearing it too, just how tough people are doing it. I appreciate the Reserve Bank of Australia has held steady on interest rates today. Thank goodness for that, because it is so hard for people, certainly those new in the home buying market, to achieve what used to be the great Australian dream. And when you talk about the economy, you see then the Labor government wanting to put more taxes in. They're wanting to charge our farmers a biosecurity levy. Let's call it what it is. It is a tax, wanting to charge our farmers for their competitors from overseas, goods coming in, and we're going to be slugging our farmers. I mean, what other country on earth would be so preposterous, would be so ridiculous to even contemplate that, let alone want to legislate it through their national parliament? And then we have, of course, the fuel efficiency standards. And it's been described by the member for Lindsay as a tradies tax, and she's right. It's also a tax on the mums who want to carry their kids around to the sporting events and dancing performances and all of those things. And for people with families and growing families, it is going to be a slug on their ability to have the SUV.
That's right.
Earlier today I heard a horrendous story about the town of Tom Price in Western Australia. Population 2874 last time they counted. And that community, which is in the Ashburton Shire of Western Australia, is responsible, with the Shire's output, of, wait for it, 2% of the nation's GDP. 2% of the nation's GDP. That's a lot of money, and yet it doesn't have a bank. Doesn't have a bank. Now, the Treasurer, instead of maligning the previous government's economic record, should be asking questions as to why that community doesn't have a financial organisation, why that community's people has to put cash in suitcases and drive it down to Perth, why that community, the nearest bank, is about 360 kilometres away. These are the issues that everyday ordinary Australians are asking, and they're not being addressed by those opposite. They're not being addressed by the government, and they should be. These are the bread and butter issues that, instead of coming in and getting your talking points and just reading them ad nauseum, do something that's constructive for and on behalf of Australians, particularly regional Australians, which carried this nation through COVID.